Let me set the scene for you. You're at a campground. Level is down, slides out, water's connected, electric's connected, everything's going fine, you're comfortable. Then you're watching the local weather and it says, hey, guess what? There's a cold snap coming. And you're like, when was the last time we checked the propane? So you go out and check the propane. You may not make it through the cold snap. What are you gonna do? You can call local propane companies. A lot of them won't come to a campground, and if they do, they're gonna charge you a premium price for it. So you're left with breaking down camp, bringing in the level, bringing up the levels, bringing in the slides, disconnecting everything, going out and trying to find a place that's open that will give you propane. So Charlotte and I don't like doing that. When we get to a campground, we like to set up and stay set up until we leave once.
We get pretty comfortable.
We certainly do. So, because we had to break down to go out and get propane, that's not gonna happen to us again. We picked this up, Camco's Extend-a-Stay. What it is, I'm gonna open it up. It's going to come with a 4-way tee. It will set up like this. Coming out of here will be from the propane tank. Coming out of here will be going into the RV. We're just gonna put this in between the tank and the regulator. And everything is going to work the same way it is now. But we have the convenience of being able to hook a propane canister up here, you know, the ones that come with the gas grills. You know, the little, what else?
Yeah, the 20-pound ones.
And it also comes with a way for you to, because this has happened before too. Cheryl's been cooking on the grill outside, and we used the little itty bitty bottles, and she ran out and didn't realize she didn't have any more. So yeah, that won't be a problem again either, because right here, we'll be able to hook in and run the propane grill.
Yay!
So, and the way that they do that, they also include the hoses for it. This one here is going to be your, what is this, a 5.5? No, this is a 5-foot hose that will connect to a propane cylinder. And this here is a 12-foot. This is how you would run your grill. If you have a propane fireplace, anything that runs off of propane like that, just make sure though that it has its own regulator, because this is going to be unregulated. Remember, this goes in before the regulator. So it's pretty easy to install, so let's go install it. Now the first step, you want to shut off propane. You don't want any propane going through your system. The regulator is under here, and that's where we need the separation to be right here. So we need to pop this off. Now your hold downs may be different. I believe it's just a screwdriver that pops up and then you pull out. Mine broke. We did a video on propane, and mine broke when I took it off to show the regulator. So I just put these pins in it, or plugs I should say, and I will have a link in the description box below in case yours break. So just want to get them so they come off. Chances are they will get destroyed. Yeah, see. Pop the heads off, that's fine. Then this just pulls out. Just pull it off. That is your regulator for your propane. Now before we get into this, know your limits. If this is not something you're going to be comfortable with doing or you're not sure about, you know, have somebody do it for you. Now, when we take it off, there's flat spots on the regulator. I'm going to put a crescent wrench on there. Maybe. What the flat spots are going to do is it's going to give me some kind of leverage when I'm trying to turn this off. Now this here is a 7/8, and you want to go clockwise on it because, well,
Threaded opposite.
it's threaded opposite. I don't think it'll be too bad. No, it's already loose. Okay, ooh, smell the propane? You may get a burst of propane. Don't worry about it as long as it's off. If it continues, well, you better go get some help. Just gonna unscrew it. You may get a puff too. Don't worry about the puff. As long as it doesn't continue. And that's it. That's your regulator. Now for some reason, your regulator needs to be replaced because it's no good. You would just disconnect this side too. But see how they have compound here? Because this is a tape and fit here, it is not necessary on here. So there's no Teflon tape or sealant of any kind that needs to be used to put this back together. When you're out the 4-way valve, you want the part that will go to the gas grill up top. You want this part pointed straight out. And then you just gotta... Remember, they're reversed. So just make off that you're loosening it to tighten it. Does not have to be overly tight. Just snug it up. And because it's brass, you really don't want to use anything that will bite into it, like pliers or a plumber, what do they call it? Pipe wrench. So that should be good enough right there. We will be testing it to make sure there's no leaks once the whole thing is installed. Listen, yeah, that's the insulation around this compartment door.
Rubbing against the hose.
Yeah, it made a sound. We thought that the hose was leaking.
It scared us for a second.
So, you want to make sure that your regulator, the vent faces down, always down. And then put it in, and remember, it's counterclockwise. Pull it back too, so that the threads have a good chance to get started.
You gotta wiggle it around.
Yeah, get them started. And again, no Teflon tape, no pipe sealant, nothing is needed for this connection. Make sure that you're holding it so the vent stays down as it starts getting tight. Oops. It's hard working with the camera going here too. I'd rather be sitting in front of this. All right, so that should do it. All right, the next thing to do is you want to check for leaks. So we're going to turn the gas on. All the way. And they do sell gas detecting solution, which, you know, I mean, if you want to buy it, go ahead. It's just, we have soap and water. You spray it on if it bubbles. One thing you do not want to use is you don't want to use anything that has ammonia in it because, well, that will affect the brass. So just going to spray it on and just look for any bubbling. Well, other than the bubbling from the soap. I'm not seeing any. You see any?
Nope.
And over here. Nope. Appears to be okay.
You gotta check the other things too, right?
Yep. Not that I'm expecting anything. Nothing should be coming out here anyway. Nope. Well, and nothing there. I believe that we are good. I'm going to dry this off and move on to the next step. All right, everyone, we got it all dried off, and while I was drying it, my lovely wife Cheryl reminded me that I should probably test this connection too. Not that we broke the connection, but we were playing with the regulator, so we squirted that down too. That was fine. While we were at it, we said, hey, why not? I did the bleeder valve, I did the fill valve, I did the gauge too, just to make sure nothing was leaking. In case you wonder what all this stuff does, the ad that just popped up will take you to the propane video that we did a couple of years ago now. All right, so we are at the stage now where we got to put the cover back on. Now, I keep saying that you want the vent pointed down on your regulator. The reason you want that is so that nothing can accumulate on it. And the reason that they have this metal under here and the cover is so that nothing can fly around and get onto it. The situation that we're at now is I've added this much to the length of it. So this used to sit right about here. And you can see that it's not going to completely give coverage being able to stay on the metal. So we're looking at, God, maybe about an inch, inch and a half, 2 tops. So instead of adding another piece of metal, which is what I will do if need be, is I'm just going to put the cover back on to cover it. We're traveling tomorrow and it's going to be raining. So what I will do when we get to the next campground is I will check underneath the cover and just make sure that this is dry. If it's not dry, then I'm going to add, like I said, probably about a 2-inch piece of metal. I'll pick it up at Home Depot or something like that. Just bolt it to these 2 holes, and then it's going to be golden. So what I'm going to do is just put this on for now, and you want to fit it between here and here.
And those little teeth on the side, like to grab
they
it.
can be a little bit of a pain. All right there like that. Now also, as you can see, because of that, I'm going to need to put a hole right here so that I can at least get this to stay.
We shut the gas back off.
Yes, for drilling purposes, just in case. Safety first. Now these are the pins that I use to hold the cover back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish drilling this out to a 1/4 inch hole, and then that should fit through pretty good. So I did do pilot hole.
There we go.
That's going nowhere.
Snug as a bug in a rug.
Yeah, that looks kind of nifty, doesn't it? We're breaking in with an update because once the job was done and we looked underneath, we noticed just how much of that regulator was exposed, and that just wasn't going to work for us. We decided that we would enclose it with plastic because we didn't have tools for cutting metal anyway, and the regulator cover's made out of plastic, so why not? A DVD cover worked out fine. We roughly cut out a 4 by 4.5 inch piece. We added a couple of holes, and then we installed it. I mean, it's not the prettiest looking thing in the world. It works, but I mean, who's going to see it anyway?
Well, except for you guys.
Back to the video. All right, we decided that we want to test the hoses just to see how they hook in, I should say, because we don't have anything to test it with yet.
So we shut the gas off again.
Yes, you cannot fill this tank with one of the small grill propane cylinders. It just doesn't work. So always turn this off. All right. Then you're going to take a 7/16 wrench and just do the outer cap here. This thing's a pain, but you know what? If you didn't have it, chances are. Well, I know I would lose this plug.
It's so tiny.
All right, so turn this into it. Now the only thing that I don't care for this is the whole hose has to turn to screw it in. Okay, is that tight?
So may consider a quick disconnect at some point.
Yes, yeah, because you can put them on too. So this would plug into the propane cylinder, and you turn it on, and you're good to go. It will run everything in your RV that is propane until the cylinder runs out. But then it's a lot easier to take the cylinder, go to any place that refills them. Heck, Home Depot has them, and just get another one. So that's going to be a lifesaver for us. This other piece that will go over here, that was just a bonus. Let me disconnect this, and then we'll hook that one up. All right, now for your accessories. Just unscrew that. Find the end that has the pin.
Oh, show that again.
Oh.
We're not in view. There we go.
Has the pin, because there is a hole in there. Put it in. And this one you can actually turn this without turning the hose. So it makes it a little bit on the easier side. All right. You have 12 feet. We're gonna go over and hook it into the grill to see how it fits. All right, this is Cheryl's pride and joy, her little girl right here. We've had this 2 years?
3.
3 years. I mean, it's great. It's just, she loves this thing.
I do.
We highly, highly recommend this. We've been using it a lot.
These are the cylinders.
Yeah, these are the cylinders that she's been using with it. She always has 2, except that one time that she only had 1, and this one had like nothing left in it, and then we had to go out for dinner that night.
No, we did not.
But anyway, if you're interested in one of these, we'll put a link in the description box down below. We highly, highly recommend these. All right, especially now. So we're taking the other end of the 12-foot hose. This is where you would screw the bottle into.
And notice it has its own regulator.
Yes. Yeah, it has to have its own regulator. Anytime you use this for anything, I know I already said it, but I'm saying it again, has to have its own regulator. So I'm gonna screw it in. Sort of. There we go. Just because I want to know, I'll squirt that down, turn the gas on. Well, not in that order. Gas is on. There's no bubbling at all. So, let me
Take that out.
All right, so what do I do here?
Turn
Take
it to light.
I hear the gas.
There it is.
Oh yeah, that's lit. You can have to take our word for it. I'm not putting my hands around it anymore. You can see the flames around it.
Yep, I see it.
All right. So this works. Very good.
That's
All right.
awesome.
All right, everyone. There you go. It's in. It's installed. We went in. We purged the stove. We turned on the refrigerator to make sure it works. We turned on the on-demand hot water heater to make sure it works, and the furnace, and everything is working fine with no leaks. So we will have descriptions to everything in the description box down there underneath this video. So if you like what you saw, I would appreciate that thumbs up as always. If you want to become part of the Grow and Get Gone with Us gang, right down there in the corner, click it and you're in.
If you have any questions or comments, you can put them right down below, or you could just say hi.
Because we'll say hi back, we always do. Until our next video, no matter what it is, I'm Chuck.
And I'm Cheryl.
Where you going with us?
Bye.
Bye.